I spent an hour in tears this morning because there's nothing that makes Nicole and I cry faster than animals that are being abused. Now, animal abuse isn't necessarily the type of story that we'd put on the Undivided podcast, but this particular case of animal abuse involves a few things that we do talk about on the Undivided podcast. It involves the homeless industrial complex, first and foremost, substance abuse, homelessness, and it also involves public servants. This segment is brought to you by Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. I'm down 37 pounds on the program, and I lost most of that weight in just 2 months. There's no prepackaged meals, no counting calories, no drugs or injections. Schedule your free 15-minute consultation today at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. There was a video put out by our friend Jonathan Cho, who I'm not going to play the video, first of all. The video is horrifying, but I'll put a still out there. So Jonathan Cho, he gets sent this video clip of someone who's recorded through an apartment window on Capitol Hill, a dog being absolutely pummeled. I have watched the video, and that's what set me off in tears this morning. It's disturbing. The dog is being punched, brutalized, thrown, and you can tell it's just a tiny little puppy. And Jonathan also included this post from a resident of Capitol Hill who shared the video, what happened, posted beaten dog, 205 10th Avenue East. Coming from the farmer's market this noon, I stopped to say hi to someone with a dog who lives on the corner of John Street and 10th Avenue East. He told me that last night he saw a dog being beaten and punched in an apartment across the street from his. He called the police, who came, but then said they couldn't do anything to stop the guy because it was a civil matter, not a criminal one. The new building is now owned by the King County Homeless Authority. According to him, they filled it with active drug addicts. He's also seen a woman throw her dog against a window. If anyone knows what can be done to get this doggy away from that junkie, please respond. I have the contact info of the guy I spoke with who took the video. So apparently the guy who took the video was scared to post it on his own because he didn't want some sort of retribution, because he lives right across the street from this apartment that is now housing formerly homeless people who were in Burien, more on that in a moment, who were plucked out of a homeless encampment there and just put into this affordable homelessness housing building that your taxpayer funds are paying for. And this guy is watching in horror through a window as this guy, he calls him a drug addict. I have no evidence that he's a drug addict, but beating your dog if you're high out of your mind sounds like something a drug addict might do. He's watching this happen. They call police. Allegedly, they say police called it a civil matter, which of course is ridiculous. That's felony animal abuse. So Jonathan Cho puts that out. And then within minutes of him posting that video, he posted this follow-up saying, breaking, after community outrage, Seattle Council member Joy Hollingsworth is on the scene right now trying to rescue a dog. This is this morning. Trying to rescue a dog that was severely beaten inside a Capitol Hill homeless housing complex. Meanwhile, no one with the King County Executive's Office, the King County Regional Homelessness Authority, or Seattle Animal Control is responding to this emergency because it's Veterans Day. So I will tell you, again, like just behind the scenes of this, you can set aside the fact that there's two narratives here, right? Dog being abused, allegedly police respond but don't do anything. And then it's in what is a brand new building on Capitol Hill that houses the homeless who were just plucked out of a homeless encampment. Issues be damned, and housing first. This will fix it. Let me put a roof over your head, right? So anyway, I was seeing the video. I saw the video this morning. I had just woken up. I got my 2 doggies and I'm in tears and I'm just pleading with my husband, please let me go try to buy this dog off these drug addicts, right? Please, alleged drug addicts. I was like, I guarantee if I show up with $500 or $1,000 and say, just give me your dog for this money, they'll take it in a second, right? And he's like, no, you're not going down to this building. Like, you'll probably get shot or stabbed or something like that. And so I'm just devastated, thinking, like, what can I do? And then Jonathan says, Councilwoman Joy Hollingsworth, like, can we, before we even get to the real kicker, could you ever picture Shama Sawant, the socialist city councilwoman who served that district, served a very loose term, getting up, seeing that, and going down there, and that's what Joy Hollingsworth did, going down there and saying, I'm not leaving until this dog is safe. So I saw this whole long story. It's just wild. Saw that tweet from Jonathan Cho, and that's where the watchdog part comes in. Had Jonathan not had the connections, gotten that video, put it out, I don't know where this dog would be right now. Watchdog helping to save a real dog. Love it, Jonathan. And then you have an actual public servant who immediately gets up on a holiday, not working, goes down to that building. I text Joy Hollingsworth because I basically told her, because I was coming here to do the show. I was like, look, if I heard you're going down to the building, if what it's going to take is money to get this dog away from its owner, like I can Venmo anyone money. And she's like, don't even worry about it. She's like, I came down here with $300 in my pocket. I flagged down an officer. I'm not leaving this building until this dog is safe. And like Joy Hollingsworth and I probably disagree on a lot politically, but I'll tell you what, we're like on the same freaking page this morning, obviously, and she's livid. And I just thought, after last week's election and my frustration about the direction of the state, I'm like overwhelmed with gratitude that Seattle has a couple politicians and public servants who understand the assignment. And so she's there, and I said, please keep me up to date. And now Nicole's upset, and I'm upset, and we're sitting here. So I get maybe a half hour ago a call from Joy Hollingsworth, and she says, the dog is safe. And she even sends us pictures of her with this sweet little pup. It's like a pit bull mix, 10 months old. The dog's name is Angel. The dog is safe. Joy Hollingsworth said, I'm in the car right now with the dog, and I'm taking it to the vet to get a checkup. The dog is clearly underweight. Obviously has been beaten because we saw the video of it being beaten. Now, there is some, so first of all, Seattle City Councilwoman Joy Hollingsworth, I know you didn't do it for this reason. I will donate to every campaign you have from here until the end of the time for you going to save this dog. I don't care if we disagree on certain things. That is the heart of a public servant. I would rather have a public servant who does stuff like that and who I disagree with on some things than a public servant who's only serving themselves and doing the bare minimum 100% of the time. So I just love this so much. But then, of course, there's a couple other angles of this story that we are trying to get to the bottom of. So first of all, the original poster said that Seattle police had responded to the scene and then said they couldn't do anything about it because it was a civil matter. But Councilwoman Hollingsworth said, because she had police officers who were there this morning when they went to get this dog out of the apartment, who said actually that man had been arrested for animal and booked into the King County Jail for animal cruelty. So we've reached out to SPD. We're trying to get to the bottom of, was he arrested? Was he not arrested? And why was the dog left there? If he's arrested for animal cruelty and booked into jail, why was the dog left behind? Because when they went there this morning, if you watch the video, which honestly, don't watch the video. There's no reason to watch the video. That'll be stuck in my head for weeks. There's a woman in the apartment. Again, this low income, or it's not even, it's affordable homelessness housing. And so when they went there this morning, the woman was there and the dog was still there. So presumably they just, if this is to be believed, they arrested the man and left the dog in the apartment with a woman who wasn't intervening, who wasn't doing anything. Well, this dog was being absolutely brutalized. And I'm sorry, if you're doing that to the dog, chances are you're probably doing it to the woman who's living with you too. So anyway, apparently they went up, knocked on the door, and just said, look, we're taking the dog. And the woman just let him have it. So that's how that all went down. So we've been in touch with SPD. They're trying to figure out what happened. We're trying to figure out what happened. But then, of course, the other angle of this is this was all predicted. This was predicted by our friend Jonathan Cho. I think it was, was it a couple weeks ago? Let me see the date on this before I play a clip from this. This was last month, not even a month ago, October 15th. Remember the whole controversy around the Burien homeless encampment that was just growing in downtown Burien? The mayor was pissed off. King County wouldn't clear it. King County wouldn't enforce Burien's municipal code on no camping because they said it was unconstitutional, even though a judge disagreed. And so then when there was too much pressure, Jonathan Cho reported that the county was shutting down the homeless encampment there. And a lot of those people, the homeless encampment where there'd been crime, where there had been overdose deaths, they were just going to be plucked out of this encampment and put into this new housing, new apartment on Capitol Hill that was going to be run by the failed homeless industrial complex known as the King County Regional Homelessness Authority. Here's a clip showing this exact building where this dog abuse happened that Jonathan Cho, a clip from a special report he filed on this exact building October 15th.
We've learned the Homeless Housing Agency quietly placed nearly 30 people into this apartment complex in Seattle's Capitol Hill without giving neighbors a heads up.
You just deal with it.
There are now genuine concerns the same problems plaguing the encampment, like open-air drug use and sexual assaults, could end up in this community.
I know they all need a place to stay somewhere, and things need to get better, but people should have a say in what's going on around their businesses and homes.
Yeah, and it's a realistic concern. It's a realistic concern if you take people who are involved in criminal activity, where there's fatal drug overdoses, obvious prolific drug use happening, and you say housing first, we're just going to pluck them out of there so you don't have to see them, and we're going to put them in there, with a roof over their head behind lock and key and assume that their behavior is going to change. It's not. It's not. And one thing I just want to say, people who have houses beat their animals too. There are people who have homes who are arrested for animal abuse, who neglect their animals. I don't think this is clearly not a uniquely homeless issue. But when you have an apartment building paid for with our money, being run by a government-funded entity, and one of the issues Jonathan Cho pointed out is there wouldn't be any sort of increased level of security for this building, for the neighbors in that community. That's absurd to believe that if you just take the population of a homeless camp and put them in a building, that there aren't going to be an elevated level of safety issues or criminal behavior above and beyond what a normal apartment complex would have. Even the Seattle Times did a story on some of these low-income housing buildings where homeless people are being tucked away, because housing first, that we're spending billions of dollars on. And there's murders happening there, a lot of domestic violence, substance abuse. And so it's like, okay, you pluck someone out of a homeless encampment only for them to be murdered, in an apartment that our taxpayer money funds. Did you really help them? No. So that's a big part of the issue. And also, we should not be spending a dime on housing someone who isn't in active recovery, actively getting help for their substance abuse issue or their mental health issue. But of course, no, you can't do that. You can't make it a transaction where you hold housing over them unless they get help for their substance abuse or mental illness. Yeah, you can. That's the only way it's going to get better. Otherwise, you have because it's a drug crisis, right? And it's a mental health crisis. And whether that mental health or drug crisis is happening in a tent or in an apartment, it's still happening. And that's what we've been saying all along about the homelessness housing first approach. So this whole story is just indicative of a few things. First of all, we need watchdogs like Jonathan Cho. If he hadn't put this out, I don't know what would happen to that dog. Dog probably be dead. A rare act of public service from a Seattle City Council member. Again, Joy Hollingsworth. I mean, kudos to her for going there and standing there and not leaving until the dog was saved. And then, of course, you have neighbors who are freaked out. I mean, you saw, so I think it was Jackie Kent. What station is Jackie Kent with? Is it Como? I just want to give her credit because I think somebody called her too and she went out to this building. It's Como News. Jackie Kent went there and saw the moment. This cute little dog came out. And there's other people, and the neighbors are applauding, like, oh, puppy, and the puppy's fine. So these neighbors are horrified. And there's some really nice apartment buildings around there that people are paying like market rates for. And I'm sorry, they should have the ability to push back against an apartment building that's going to house people who just came out of a dangerous homeless encampment when there's no added security. Like, that's not them being NIMBYs. That's not them being right-wing or unreasonable. That's them having some reasonable concerns that they want elected leaders in the government that's operating these facilities to take seriously. This from Jackie Kent, again with Como News. We're told by building management that it's not normal for a King County Regional Homeless Shelter to not have a caseworker on site. There are about 20 units in this building, and managers say some people were brought over from the Berrien encampment and other areas. So it doesn't have a caseworker on site? You guys! This is what Washington voters just doubled down on in the election, are these kinds of policies and politicians who push these kinds of policies. No caseworker on site. So now you have this building in the middle of a nice neighborhood on Capitol Hill. This is a fairly nice area of Capitol Hill where people are trying to live and enjoy life and feel safe, and you pluck them out of a dangerous homeless encampment, put them there, no caseworker on site. The King County Regional Homelessness Authority has to be disbanded. It has to be disbanded. Not only is it a waste of money, not only is it just, you might as well light tens of millions of dollars, billions of dollars on fire. But homelessness is actually worse since the King County Regional Homelessness Authority started to operate. It's worse. So, but again, that's why we'll never fix homelessness, because we pour billions of dollars into this system that pays a bunch of people to do all these things, and they're not going to fix the homeless crisis because then their jobs go away.